I said, Mom, I got a question for you. Why were you a lifelong Democrat? Like, what was the appeal? She cried when Barack Obama won 2008 because it was so monumental. She flipped. She voted for Trump. My mom passed away in 2020 at 77 years old. She was a lifelong Democrat until, interestingly enough, 2015, when Donald Trump ran for president. Now, I remember her carrying on to high heck because she watched the news. I don't really watch the news. But she would say, I'd rather vote for Donald Duck before I vote for Donald Trump. And I said, okay, you vote for who you, and it doesn't surprise me. You're a Democrat. You always have been.
Mm-hmm.
She said she cried when Barack Obama won 2008 because it was so monumental, that first African-American winning presidency. And of course, he was a Democrat. But in 2015, her mind changed a little bit, and she actually watched Trump's news conferences and like when he would stump and he would talk about what he was going to do. And the illegal immigrants was really a sticking point for her. And Barack Obama was very strong against illegal immigrants too. If you watch some old footage of him, even during State of the Union addresses when he was president, very hard-nosed about the illegals. They're allowed to come, just come through the proper channels. So my mom was aligned with that, with Obama, and felt like during Obama's 2 terms, that might have slipped a little bit. So when Trump took a hard-nosed line, is that what it is? Hard line? Trump took a hard line on illegal immigration. She flipped. She voted for Trump. That one thing. So there's 2 head scratchers here. One, and again, I'm not knocking people for how they vote. We're allowed to vote however we want for whatever reasons we want. But to me, it breaks down to 3 things. It's either what's their ideology? We talked about that. What's their policies? We talked about some of those. What's their personality? A lot of people, in my opinion, are voting or not voting for Trump because of his personality. Same with Obama. Obama was extremely charismatic, great public speaker. And you hear Democrats today, oh, I wish he was still president. He had such class. We haven't had class in the White House since he left. So it wasn't, you ask them about policies, they could probably tell you some. But the first impression was Obama was a classy president. Trump is the orange devil or the savior of the universe,
Right.
depending on, yes. So that's one head scratcher is I realized with my mom and with other people now that I've kind of discovered this epiphany that we might just have one thing that we're voting or not voting for somebody for.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, I think a more complete picture of the people involved, the 2 candidates involved or all the senators or whoever you're going to vote for, it's probably better that you kind of know everything that they're all about because they may be about something that's against your beliefs, your preferences. And in my mom's case, it was illegal immigration. If she had never watched Trump stump, she never would have learned that about him. She would have blindly voted for Hillary Clinton. My guess is. So that's another thing I think we the people can avoid is just that one ideology or that one cult of personality or that one policy, that you're just voting or not voting for somebody for. And again, I'm not criticizing anybody for how they vote. But again, I mean, that's kind of an important position, right? But if we the people are running things, we never have to worry about that one person making or breaking the country. Second head scratcher as it goes to my mom. I generally don't talk politics with people unless they bring it up. I love talking about it. I love controversial subjects. You and I talked about religion ad nauseum 9 months ago on your show, on Utah Daily. I loved it. I love talking about that stuff with a willing participant.
Yeah.
And usually you can tell right away if someone's going to be, what's the word?
Like open-minded.
Yeah, open-minded, but what's the one? Bigoted, but whatever. Close-minded. Like you can tell right away if somebody's just fixated on their opinions and they don't care about yours.
Right.
But if someone wants to have an open dialogue on controversial subjects, I find that interesting. I'm better at that than I am at small talk.
Yeah.
Anyway, I never did ask my mom, why'd you vote Democrat? Why'd you vote Democrat? Because I didn't really care. And early on in my life, I was a Democrat. So we were on the same side. Later, I changed to Republican. So we were opposite. Later, I changed to Libertarian. So we were opposite. And then later, I was not affiliated. So we were kind of opposite there. But finally, after Trump was president, I think it was a couple years, and she brought up this lifelong Democrat thing again. I said, Mom, I got a question for you, especially since you voted for Trump. Why were you a lifelong Democrat? Like, what was the appeal? Now, she was a teacher, or she was a school psychologist, and she worked in the public school system in Cincinnati, Ohio for like 35 years. And she loved the teachers' unions. So when I asked her, I said, why the love affair with Democrats your whole life? She said, well, they really support teachers' unions. I said, okay, fair. The Democrats generally are more vocal about unions in general. So she latched onto that. And I said, okay, so tell me this. You're in your 70s now. You've lived through a lot of Republican presidents. When the Republican presidents were in office, what was different about the teachers' unions? She sat there for a minute. She was like, huh, nothing I can think of. I said, so you were voting Democrat for the teachers' unions, but the Republicans didn't really hurt your teachers' unions. She said, no, I never really thought about it that way. So here we have a woman at this point, probably 75 years old, voting for over 50 years maybe, one way. And in 30 seconds, her whole belief system was changed. And I'm not saying I'm not a debater. I can't stand debates. I love conversations. I don't like debates. I don't like picking people apart. But, for her, like with her history, I figured it was a fair question. Why Democrat? She's like, and after we talked for 30, 60 seconds, she's like, geez, I don't know. Never thought of it that way.